South Beach, Miami. Welcome back, creative community. Once again, this is Lorenzo from the Coach MC studio. This is the place where we'll help you to shape unique behavior deliveries and where we're happy to get recognized in the audition room. And today I have a brand new Talks on Acting show right here on the beach under this beautiful sun with this Florida sunshine weather, because I want to introduce a beautiful guest today, Tony Delerme, Haitian-born actor, raised in New York, coming to Florida, a filmmaker, a model, an editor, such a creative, vibrant, eclectic person, just a great human being, a father, a caring human being that really knows his deeds and really knows his work, his craft. And I want to dive into this conversation and find out what the modern actor should all be about, what kind of entrepreneurial spirit we need to embrace in order to make it an entertainment industry, and what we need to thrive, even though adversities are always high and the challenges are always around the corner. So let's dive into this Talks on Acting today and let's see what's cooking.
Lorenzo!
Nice
Good to
meeting
see you,
man.
man.
Good to see you. Always
How's
good to
everybody doing?
Welcome him on the show. Let's just sit down. It's beautiful, man.
How's everything with you, man?
With discovering Miami, it's a beautiful city. It's like everything, right? Don't judge the book by its cover.
Not at all.
So you get to Miami and you get this idea, oh, it's a kind of a superficial, just easygoing type of city.
Mm-hmm.
And then you discover so many beautiful pockets of creativity, great people who don't judge, who are just there to kind of produce. How did you get involved into this vibe, into this town?
So I'm from Haiti. I traveled back and forth till I was about 13 or 14. But every time I landed here, the airport had this aroma.
Yes!
That I just fell in love with every single time. Finished high school in Orlando. And I just always loved Miami.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom and dad broke up when I was young. And I just wanted to really build that relationship with dad again. And my dad's in the film industry too. He's a filmmaker, producer, and he's been making his films for over 40 years.
Great.
And he was selling movies in Creole in the United States.
That's exciting.
I said, okay, if he can do that, instead of me moving right to LA, let me really understand the film industry, how to make a movie. And because that way I'm always working. It's not me waiting for an opportunity. I can create opportunities. You know, and with the vibe here, you know, Miami Beach has always had my heart. I grew up in Liberty City, rough neighborhood, very culturally diverse, very amazing. But South Beach always had my heart because just the workouts, the artists, the creativity. It's amazing.
It's great. Today's topic is about the modern actor.
Okay.
Today's topic is about how we can evolve, and what you just kind of touched upon. I think it's very, very precious. We get stuck in the idea, oh, now we're actors. Now we're waiting for the phone call.
Yeah.
Right? Now we're waiting for the casting. But we have to build something on our own for ourselves, right?
I think when you're young as an actor, you feel like you're saving the world. I have this duty, this due diligence to do for the world.
Right.
It's self-inflicting pain, though, because you feel like you have to perform at this task that you have no control of. I don't have control on that if I get casted for something, if I don't, I don't have control of that. The only thing I have control of is me and how I perceive and move about in the world. I dealt with a lot of like self-regret, pain, suffering, because I felt like, okay, this is my gift to the world. And honestly, your gift to the world is just being a kind person and connecting with people. And it's not necessarily, oh, I'm an actor and this is the only title that I have. We have so many more titles.
There might be this wrong perception that if I focus on a couple of things more, that I lose focus of what my core essence as an actor is, instead of realizing that if I accumulate knowledge, if I accumulate experience, if I put some new systems and new instruments into my toolbox, I can only grow as a human being and subsequently also as an actor. That doesn't distract me at all. It makes me actually more grounded into entertainment industry, right?
We're always doing character stuff. So if you walk past a construction site, pay attention.
Yes.
Because you might learn some things. You might have to play a construction worker. When I watch people, when I converse with people, not that I like to overanalyze, their hands tells you a lot. Because a construction worker hands are kind of stiff.
Right.
You know, so you're starting to understand more about the person because of what his hands has to deal with and mold and shape in the work that they do. That's what I love about Miami, because no one cares that I'm an actor.
Talking about mindset, we kind of immediately clinged into each other
At
when
the
we worked
workout
out at
station.
the workout station. So we kind of looked at each other. This is cool,
Yeah.
right? It's a good energy.
And we started
good vibe.
talking about movies
Immediately,
right away.
right,
Yeah.
about creativity and all that. And we're both radiating optimism. I feel like
Correct.
there's a lot of good and positive energy coming out of you.
You as well.
I'm from Sicily. You're from Haiti. So we're islanders. Is there something about the mentality of somebody who comes from an island who is surrounded just by water that forces him in a way to search for optimization and great solutions? Connectivity.
Because we know, no matter how brilliant you are, no matter what you do in life, there's one thing for certain: death. How am I going to connect with the earth with my time being here? Not things that are man-made for us. You know, our telephones, our devices, even cinema. And I think acting is a part of entertainment. It's a part of education, so we can get to know one another more. I try not to put so much pressure on myself anymore. A friend of mine made a great analogy. We have sorrow. We have this sort of pain and
melancholy.
You know, like if we're injured, we're really down on ourselves. Like, man, I'm not the same person I am anymore because I'm on a crutch for the rest of my life. Have you ever seen, a friend of mine gave me this analogy. You ever seen a dog with 2 missing legs? Aren't they still optimistic and happy?
Totally. They're
Because
still living
they're
and
still
thriving.
living.
Yes.
Yeah. So for me, it's living more. And honestly, having a family now and having a son that looks up to me, and my mental health is more important than anything else. And
because you've got a responsibility over another human being.
Yeah, and giving him the tools that I didn't have, that I had to discover on my own, traveling to LA, going to New York, understanding what the game is like. It's a game.
It is,
you know, because you have to jump through hoops for everyone to perform, and hopefully they pick you. And you're battling other actors the minute you walk into the room. And like, why am I mad at you? Why are you mad at me? Because they're going to pick who they're going to pick anyway.
There is no competition. Everybody has his own role. Everybody is unique, right? I'm always saying that.
You know, I'm so involved in my work as a director, and when I write and shoot a film, that I don't realize how good it is, or how precious it is, or the message behind it, till I wait a few months and I look at it again. I'm like, damn, Tony, good
Yes,
job.
I agree. Yeah. Sometimes I do a drawing or a painting, or I look at my older acting stuff, and where probably I thought what I was shooting is, oh, that was a bit cringy. And then I look at it, it's like, actually, that wasn't that bad. We always denigrate ourselves. We always put ourselves under the hardest circumstances of criticizing ourselves. We're so easy on taking the blame. But once in a while, we have to acknowledge that we did something amazing or something great and something good. That's what we're here for, right? So tell us a little bit, because I mean, you had this background in your family already of filmmaking, but how did this whole thing start? Because you were growing up in a kind of a rough neighborhood where it was complicated to emerge, broken home.
I've always had this creative passion. I played football for a week, and it just didn't work out for me. I didn't want to tackle people. So it was something that was always in me, but I was shy, an extremely shy child, extremely shy. And I think it's because I live in my head and there's just so much going on. Then I started, I think in high school, but mind you, I've been filming since I was young, but when I left Haiti, I had to hide it. Because at that point in time, you had to play sports, living in the inner city. And like, people didn't really want to accept, like, wow, this guy films. Or this guy does something in the arts. So I had to hide it. I remember I was like maybe 10 in Haiti. My camera broke. My cousin told me this story. He said, you still had the camera practicing angles with a broken camera. So I'm still practicing angles. So I left it alone for a while. And I attempted football, and I was sort of like cool with everybody, and I was down on myself. Then, you know, I'm walking through the hallway, and this kid says, hey, why don't you try TV production? I'm like, okay, let's do it. And no one really cared in TV production. And I found a way to make it speak to everyone, because our teacher's not from the same area we're from. So I started making it more fun. So we started going out onto the campus and filming the kids. The kids were happy to see themselves on camera. So we were doing that. We were doing morning announcements. We started doing music videos before every morning announcement. So you would see a live music video. All the kids wanted to come in there. And that worked out really well. Then the same kid, I see him again. He says, I'm doing theater now. I'm like, let me in on that. So we did like a hip hop version of Romeo and Juliet.
Nice.
Just to make it speak to the kids a little bit more. And we were able to get a ton of kids in there, and something sparked there. But I don't think I really realized it till I was in college for electronic engineering, failing all my classes, mind you. And I'm like, this just doesn't work. And I was working on my relationship with my dad. And we went to Daytona for spring break. My dad's that kind of guy. He'll go to spring break with me. So we're in Daytona. He's doing a music video. He asked me to act in it. And I was so afraid. But something, just shy. Like, but something about that fear made me feel so alive.
Mm-mm.
And I said, this is what I want to do. I'm going to sign up for film school and I'm going to start filming right away.
That's
because
gold,
of the love and passion for it. It's beautiful to be able to put yourself in that scary place. And I like doing that because it makes me feel alive. And I don't have to do other crazy stuff.
Whenever we are stepping out of our comfort zone and things get a bit cringy and scary, this is usually the place where your future greatness actually comes from. And a lot of people, they stop there. And it's just another step, or maybe even just 2 steps, and something amazing will happen.
Yeah.
But it's excruciating to watch sometimes that people kind of surrender on the last meters. Like Buddha said, you can run for the rest of your life and then you will stop before you die, a couple of meters before you actually hit the target, because the last meters are always the most difficult ones.
Correct.
So you were always kind of challenging yourself, and out of that fear you've realized maybe there is something there that is worth exploring, worthwhile kind of knowing a bit better, because it's about self-development again, right? It's about realizing who you are in this game, right?
I worked I think the funnest job for an actor, and one of the funnest jobs I've had, is working in the service industry.
Right.
Like waiter, bartender, it's a fun job.
It is.
And I worked at a lot of high-end places. And I realized, I grew up in a rough space. Let me see how these people manage and move.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I realized is like, okay, when they speak to you, they acknowledge, great speakers acknowledge every single last person in that room when they're speaking. And when I first started public speaking or meeting and greeting people, I used to just blur everyone out in the room.
Yes.
But now I pinpoint every single person in the audience so I could connect with them. And it's something I didn't learn in school, because I feel like school, it's great, but we need to really revamp schooling, because a lot of things that I've learned, about just dealing with people and dealing with the world, it's been on the job experience. We're all born creative.
Absolutely.
It takes some of us to actually do it, because it's the scariest thing you can do. It's your DNA. It's your fingerprint. So for you to go out and actually create, it's scary. I don't know about you, but when you're presenting your work, it's the scariest moment to present it, to unveil it and show it to everybody. It's like, ooh, your stomach sinks.
I will be vulnerable, right?
Yeah, I like vulnerability.
Yes. Was there a teacher? Was there something that kind of carved out a channel for you where you felt more comfortable?
My dad, being fearless and really understanding the humanistic aspect of acting. I did theater in college, but I majored in film. But it really was my work in really just understanding people, why they function, why they do certain things. Where's the emotional context in all that?
So it was curiosity, right?
It is. I very much, I think for you to be a good actor, you have to love people.
It's the culture that we're both working on constantly, exploring the boundary of that culture and meeting new people and make that critical mass bigger and greater.
Yeah.
And I watched your short.
Thanks for watching.
Twice.
Thank you.
I liked it a lot.
Thank you.
There is so much depth. And I mean, I look at you, but now I understand things a bit clearer, because I look at you and this is such an optimistic, such a radiant person that you are. You're transmitting good energy. And then I look at the short and you're dealing with the abyss of being alone. You're dealing with the abyss of society. Tell us a little bit about the short and why it's so dark, but also very interesting, because you explore that probably the other side of yours.
I felt that we all get stuck in this space, the phone, right? And to be honest with you, when I first started filming it, it was just exploration. I went out, I said, as an artist, I have to photograph what's happening on Ocean Drive, because it's one of my favorite places in the world.
Right.
So for me as an artist, that's my part of creation, is just having that, even if I don't share it. I just wanted to photograph it. And when originally I started photographing it without people in the shot, I said, you know what, that's inaccurate. Because it's me depicting my own story. And there's actually a few people walking here and there.
Right.
And I started taking some shots with people. I got home and I looked at the empty shots. I said, shoot, how much would Hollywood pay to shut down that studio? It's a lot of money to shut down
Millions.
Ocean Drive. And I said, wait a minute, I have it for myself. Let me start taking some shots of myself. I put the wardrobe together. I started taking some shots. I said, I don't know when things are going to open up. Let me at least take these shots. And when I looked at the shots, I'm like, wow, this is very eerily interesting and lonely. And the fact that I shot it myself, I'm very gregarious and I like to tell jokes. So as soon as I tell cut, I would possibly tell a joke or something like that to break the ice of how strange the moment is. Then I said, you know what? This is great exercise for artists because we make excuses, right? Oh, I can't shoot a movie because I don't have people to shoot it for me. And I think a big challenge for an actor is being able to act by yourself. Because if we have someone to throw lines off of, we could sort of make it a little bit easier. Acting's still challenging. But the fact that I said, you know what? I think it's a great challenge to be able to act by myself. A beautiful scene that always resonates with me is I Am Legend, Will Smith and him and just the dog. Or just Will Smith by himself. I think that's very powerful to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
And still grasp the audience. Or Meryl Streep when she's washing dishes and she has a breakdown. Like, how did Meryl... That's beautiful to me to be able to be by yourself. So I said, how do I cultivate this story by myself? And the story was done. A lot of it was filmed, and I waited 6 months to finish because I said I'm missing the story behind it. I don't want to just flex that I know how to film and I know how to get beautiful shots and I'm able to get South Beach by itself. I said I needs to close out, and I turned over and I went to my phone and I said that's the closing. No matter what we've gone through, this device is going to suck us back in. I said, that's the story.
And so crazy because you flipped the paradigm because everybody right now is telling us the smartphones are isolating us from the world. And in your short, Absent, by the way, guys, we make sure to, link this beautiful movie. And by all means, make sure to check out his channel, his movie, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to his channel as well, and support my man, Tony, because it's a great piece of art and it's entertainment at the same time. But also, the paradox of the movie is that the cell phone helped you to get back into life, to connect,
It did.
right? Usually the cell phone is kind of dividing us and isolating us and kind of, where we do the hunch position and it's all the cavern style coming back. And in your movie, in your short, it was coming back to life and connecting with the people and kind of realizing that there was still joy even in the darkest moment.
Correct.
And that is what the human condition is all about. And so interesting you mentioned Will Smith because the first 30 minutes of I Am Legend, they're great. Because it's just him exploring. It's just living. And then the story started, whatever, But the first 30 minutes were really interesting. Like, I looked at this guy, I could watch him forever. And the same thing happened here. You're just walking down the street and perceiving everything is empty. I mean, it was due to COVID, right? Everything was closed down. And it's like the eeriness of that moment and how we face that. And I think that's what is also telling about your persona, about you being creative. What I can only strongly encourage people to do more and more, to kind of self-explore themselves and self-develop. And look, you're always going into a direction that is first scary to you, and then it turns out to be a great solution. And sometimes you try things out that don't work for you, like tech or football or whatever, and then you realize, hey, what is me? And being an actor is that. Is being a human being that is curious. It's not just being an actor who sits, by his phone and waits for the call of his agent, right, to get casted. It's to grab the opportunities. It's to develop something and to put art into your system. Do you think a great painter...
Even with this thing.
Even with this thing.
You could capture great visuals for you.
So, and that idea kind of happened.
It happened. And when I knew it was something, it was when I said, okay, I have to realize what makes him have to leave home. Hunger. The world shut down on him. Hunger, that's the only thing that made him put the device down and go out and explore. And during his exploration, he left the device too long. And that's why I had to suck him back in.
Right.
And I think that's what's happening with us. And it's so damaging to us as people, what it does, because you're looking at other people's, the story that they created, their narration that they're putting online for us to believe in, and it makes us feel like we're not doing anything or we're not doing enough in life. You know, and I felt like the approach needed to be taken in the film. The Western world, America, has a good way of portraying a black man on screen. So you notice my character, clearly he works out, he wears a tank top, but he was still having fun.
Right.
He was you were watching a normal person.
Right.
You forget the fact that he's 6'3" and
Yes.
you're just seeing a guy
Just
enjoying
a
a human being going through a condition that we're all going through.
Right.
And I wanted that to really resonate on screen and not for me to have to play, okay, he's the urban guy, he's the tough guy, he's just a guy. And you know, he's trying to get with this girl on social media and he wants to go hang out at her house. You know?
Basic needs.
Yeah.
I love that about your character, that you're always looking for very simple solutions that actually make sense instead of thinking very specifically and stratified and complicated, which nowadays happens a lot in storytelling, and then it results in being just complicated and boring.
And boring, and you don't develop your character, you don't develop your story. It needed to be simple to where everyone relates to it, because it was some stuff that we were all doing.
I mean, Hitchcock said it, right? Boy meets girl.
Yeah.
That you got a great story.
Yeah.
What else do you need?
Nothing. The conditions, the situation that they're going through, it was a situation he was going through. And sometimes we want to make it so grand.
Yeah.
Because I have aerial shots of how empty it is. And I could literally go on my computer and take out every single person in the shot to really make it look grand. But does that make my story better? No. It needs to be about this person. That's what the story needed to be about, a person going through something. And sometimes it needs it, you know, like it has to be like this whole destruction, New York City's falling apart, and you know, there's aliens attacking. But I feel like we lack telling the story of what one person's going through.
Oh, absolutely. Instead of New York falling apart, what about me falling apart and how I reconstruct this product? This is way more interesting than all the skyscrapers that can crumble down. That won't give me anything. It's just steel and cement. It's just anorganic. This is organic. This is a living thing, and it's always diverse. It's always unique.
Yeah.
When you get a monologue, when you get your sides, right? What is it that attracts you first? What is your procedure? I'm really interested in how you kind of hack the character.
Is the character interesting enough for me to portray? That's number one. Is it believable? Not to take away from my acting or feel like I'm not is it believable? You know, because we all have typecasts in our heads.
Sure.
As soon as we see someone, we already typecasted who they are as a person.
Which sometimes is a blessing, and sometimes it kind of also leads us into a dead end sometimes. Yeah.
And I don't mind playing a bad guy, but why is he a bad guy? I need reason. You know, I don't want him to just be a bad guy. Why is he a bad guy? What's his life struggles been? Because then I could add more to the performance.
Of course, I mean, I need to follow his path.
Yeah.
If I don't like him at all, if I don't understand him at all, why should I kind of emphasize, why should I kind of see myself in that character or try to understand this character even from the start? It's always about believability and how you can conduct this back to yourself. What is your cordon here?
Where did he come from? Let's talk about the most notorious villain ever.
Yes.
The Joker.
The Joker.
The Joker always has a great backstory.
Absolutely.
That's why we hate the Joker, but that's why we love watching the Joker on screen.
Yes.
And the work's been done.
Yes. And we can identify with certain aspects of his character.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, he seems to be more honest than anybody else, even though he's wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And that's fascinating.
Yeah.
If you bring it to the point that you can identify yourself with somebody wearing a mask, because he's more truthful in the way he reacts to his environment, to the world, than the other people who are just supposed to be the normal human beings, then you've made something right.
They do a great job in developing, you know, a character like that.
Absolutely. And talking about being typecasted, which is not always a negative thing. If you can find your niche, if you can find your position in the industry and you know exactly, I can start from there and then I can start cross-polluting all other sections of entertainment as well. But I start from a very simple character. I start with a very simple and basic concept. What do we want as characters in a movie? We want love, we are afraid of something, and we want freedom. That's our basic needs. And if we start with this little niche and we understand and apply our talents to that niche, then we can grow instead of always looking for the grand picture and getting ahead of ourselves without really knowing what our instruments actually are capable of.
Yeah, simplicity first.
I loved your simple hooks and the way of looking at life and how to develop yourself. And this is what I can only strongly encourage our creative community to do as well. As actors, we don't wait. Right? We dive into whatever pockets of creativity you might explore, and out of there you create the experience for yourself to kind of ground yourself and anchor yourself in this beautiful world that we're in, this beautiful game, and from there on we're playing the game.
Sometimes it's just a simple monologue.
Yes.
If you're an actor, you're working on your craft, get some unique lighting, a lot of natural lights, like pay attention to lighting around your space, and just give us a monologue. It could be a monologue where you're going through something, you're trying to scrub the floor and you have a moment of breakdown and you start thinking about your mom or your sister, that, you know, give us something that when we watch, like, oh wow, this guy's really, or this woman's really got some chops.
And hook onto one simple emotion instead of trying to display hundreds of different facets and emotions. Hook to one emotion and explore that emotion till its fullest and all of its boundaries, and you will see what kind of manifold, incredible performance will come out of that. Do you like the moving pictures more or the still pictures of the photography more?
Moving pictures, of course. I got into photography because I wanted my moving pictures to be prettier. I don't like to be stagnant. I like to explore everything. I think that's what we all should do as humans, explore everything. And, you know, I was watching Pulp Fiction, one of my favorite films, and I paused it and I went to use the restroom and I came back and I said, that looks like a picture.
Yes.
That's how I want my films to look.
Sergio Leone, it's a picture.
Yeah, so if you pause it and it's like, wow, this guy really took his time out to really make sure his visuals match what's going on screen and the writing and all that. Honestly, I think writing is one of the smartest parts of storytelling. I love acting, not to discredit acting, but you need a core. Writing is one of the most grueling parts of it, and it's the least vain and the least glamorous part of storytelling.
But it's so great to reflect. You're having a monologue and then you write your backstory or you're transcribing the monologue again, and that connection between the pen, your finger, your eyes, your brain, and how you evaluate with your inner voices what's going on in the script, that gives you so much more profoundness. They need to get back to writing and reading. Like, because that gives them a notion.
An actual book.
And like,
not the tablet.
No,
an actual book.
I always say print your papers. Yeah, but it's for environment. You are an actor. It's entertainment industry. You have
to print it because there's a million ways you can say no.
Exactly.
You have to write down next to it, why am I saying no? What's that emotion behind that? No. Because you can no. Or no. Or there's a million ways that you can say no, and I need to have the paper in my hand. If I have it on my tablet, I won't remember it. The minute I print it and I look at it, I remember my lines. I understand the meaning behind it. You know, most actors, we have to understand there's a natural movement as an actor. You start off as an actor and you start directing.
Yes.
So you have to understand writing.
Right.
And you have to know how to write, because then you understand where the writer's coming from when he wrote your script for you.
Absolutely, and you're not losing yourself, you're fortifying yourself when you're doing this work, this background work. You're not just a visitor who's observing the screen. This is entertainment industry. You're part of it, you're in the middle of it.
You're respected even more. But it actually makes me think of something. It is very challenging being an actor, because most of the time, the bigger the set you're on, and you know, and I like to tell actors that the bigger the set you're on, the less they care about you. The less they care. You do your performance. I remember when I realized that, I did a scene and I was on the floor crying. They said, all right, cut. Let's go to the next shot. And I'm like, is anybody going to help me out?
Was that good?
Because they want to go to the next shot. So as an actor, you cannot care what happens. You just do your job. If they say cut, go to the next shot, that means you did your job. If you didn't do your job, they'll say cut, let's do it again. If you did your job, don't look for validation there. You look for validation at the premiere.
Yes.
If the audience likes your work, because they don't care on set, it's money. Unless you do a smaller film. I like small, that's what I like about small films. They love on you, they give you hugs after you do a scene. They congratulate
Very
you.
intimate, it's beautiful.
Or if you work with Tarantino. I love watching his behind the scenes. Tom Hardy was talking about being emotional. Two lessons I've learned from him and The Rock. When you're pulling out emotions, you don't want to harm yourself emotionally when you're pulling out emotions. You don't want to be so emotionally entrapped in that character
you get scared,
that you need therapy
right.
from it. And Tom Hardy says, I understand the business. I don't understand it. I don't remember the exact context, but essentially he was saying he gets the business. If the tears aren't coming down right away, give me the eye drops. Let me give you the emotions so we can move on. Because I understand where they're going in the business.
Right. It might sound cruel on first glance, but like you said, big set, very expensive. Everybody needs to be on time. I understand that this is a production,
yes,
right? So I need to produce. It's also a mechanical process in a way. So the gears need to move, right? I can't wait till the motion pops up. Sometimes I need to help. Sometimes I need whatever kind of instrument helps me to portray. I take it in.
Do you think it takes away from you being a great actor?
When I started acting school, I thought so. I thought, no, it's not realistic, right? I need to be Caravaggio all the time. But it's not true. You are a very important part of this, but you are not the only part of this. So you are making your contribution to make that vision come alive. The vision of the director of photography, the vision of the director of the production company, and you're lending out this mosaic piece from yourself. And time for validation, gratification, like you said, that's the premiere, right? When you're doing it, it's a job. Just deliver it. I always say we are the emotional Amazon. We're delivering emotions. That's what we're there for. Our package is emotion. When we strap up that box, we don't want to see mediocrity. We want to see emotions. And whatever helps us to portray that emotion, it's because it helps the audience understand the movie, to get entertained. It helps escape a little bit from the world and coming back, right? So we shouldn't be so self-entitled in how we do it and how we achieve it and if that was flawless or not, because it really does matter. The more organic and more naturalistic it is, probably the better it is for the movie.
It's not about me, it's about us.
It's about us.
You know what I face? I connect and I disconnect from it, and maybe you could give us all some insight on that. When another actor forgets that, and it's sort of like he's coming on set to challenge you, and it's like, because emotionally we're supposed to be, even if we're arguing, we're supposed to be there for one another.
Right.
You know, even if we're arguing.
Yeah, even if we're enemies in the picture, we still need to make both the same contribution for the picture. So the better we work together, even if we should be enemies and we're supposed to be kind of, be antagonists, but the better we work together, and the more the audience can take out of the scene, the more they understand what these characters are all about.
So how do you help actors balance that out?
Step by step, slowly, make it simple. He's answering this way, you're answering this way. He's going loud, you go silent. He's going all face up, you take the sneaky way, right? He's doing the line, you're doing the snake. He's doing the snake, you're doing the line. Step by step, understand the strategy. And the contribution is to be naturalistic for the lens, not to be better than him. You don't need to convince the other actor in the scene that you are better, or that he needs to kind of perceive all of your arguments or understand all of your character. He needs to catch your emotion. So the clearer you display the emotion, the better he can react, because he will react. Because human beings react to emotion. So the clearer and the more focused and the more sharp you are with the display of your emotions, the better he can react, the better the scene is. And this is step by step. It's a very small process.
So coaching, I'm sorry, I'm
absolutely. It's great.
Because I asked this younger when I think when we're young, we're all arrogant, right?
Yes.
And we don't care.
Yes.
I handled it a little bit better.
Yes.
Because as a coach, you're coaching someone all the way through the process. So a lot of times the challenge is when they say cut and the other actor's still coming at you.
Yes. And
what advice do you give a young actor to deal with that?
To enjoy it.
Ah.
To absolutely fucking enjoy it.
Okay.
Because when the other actor is coming at you and being this aggressive and being all this, it's because he feels that you are doing something right.
Yes.
Because you're stealing some limelight in his opinion. But it's not about stealing. Again, it's not about convincing somebody else of your greatness. It's about displaying the emotion. And the more humble you deliver that, and the more clearer and more, the clearer the distance is to that, the cleaner you can get out of the scene. You don't need that ego confrontation.
And you don't need to bring that home with you.
No, absolutely no. You can leave it there.
It's a job.
It's a job. I just left it. Like I said, I delivered my package.
Yeah.
And it's about delivering in the most humble, respectful, and proud way what you've been taught.
It's a job. People fail to understand that. It's not who I am as a person. It's my job. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the perks that comes with it, but it's a job, and I don't want it to consume me like it used to before. And then that's why I approach it the way that I do, and I have the conversations about it. And I even tell my youngest sister, she's an actor too, I'm like, it's your job.
When people get all upset and all confused and all like, oh, what is he doing? That's even a reason more to be calm, to be confident, because this shows I'm on the right way. I'm doing things in the right way. Because if I challenge people on that level, it means that they can't hold their ego out of the game, but you are able to. And now observing yourself and holding you back, even though it's hard, even though it kind of fatigues you, because there is like this inner warrior that says, okay, you want to challenge me? Let's do it. No, this is the challenge. Bruce Lee once said, it's not the warrior that barks all the time that frightens me. You know who scares me most? The observer, the quiet, silent guy in the back who's just watching us the whole time. This guy, you need to be afraid of this guy, not of the barking dog in the front. The barking dog in the front, he won't do anything. The more adversities you have, the better you become. Because you are more challenged, because you learn to endure more, to create that stamina that you need on set. Right? The more expensive the set is, the higher the pressure, the more the time framing is important, the more relaxed you need to be. It's kind of crazy. The crazier the people around you, the calmer. That's how leaders work.
That is true.
Because
it's nerve-wracking.
It is.
Let them know how big these sets get.
If you bark all the time, you're not a leader. Now your job is also to be a father. Just to close up this beautiful interview, because I think that's the biggest challenges of them all, right?
It is. Amazing young boy.
You don't have enough work in your life, right?
Not enough work. He is amazing. And I thought I understood the humanistic trait and what it is to be human and what love is. And I've learned so much from him.
That's beautiful.
And just understanding how we function. And
what is the one trait that you definitely can translate for your own endeavors that you learned from your kid?
Patience.
Patience.
Teaching him patience, working on my own patience, knowing when somebody's about to lose it. Because they have meltdowns 20 times a day, and just really just patience, taking time with him and understanding how we grow as humans on a daily basis. Before I had a child, I couldn't tell you if a child was 4 or 5 months old. I would look at it 1 year, I'll be like, what is he, 18? But now I can, as soon as I spot a 6-month-old, oh, your child's 6 months. Your child's a year and a half. Just their whole outlook on their world, their imagination is just amazing.
How do you manage all this?
Just figuring out how to make sure I have a healthy home, first and foremost, keeping the family happy, keeping him happy, and being able to provide and still fulfilling my dreams. Because I used to think that my gift to the world was cinema and being an actor. And I started to realize, no, he's my gift to the world. How do I cultivate and water that plant, that seed for him to grow into a beautiful human being? And I try to be a good human to other people. And I want people to see him like, yeah, that's Tony's boy right there. I think that's very important to see that.
And there's not a better way to end this video. It's the simple things of life. It's patience and focus. It's always being positive and search out always for new things that will challenge you. That's how discover who you really are and what your talents are and what you can give, what your contribution is to entertainment industry, to this planet, and also to yourself.
Yeah, and as an actor, if you're not connected to people and you're an asshole, you're not a good actor. Because we're telling humanistic stories. That's how you and I met. We were just so open and kind to one another. If you're not like that in real life, you're not, most of the guys that play bad guys, they're really nice people. Right?
They are. And comedians are most of the times very depressed and frustrated because they know exactly what the load of this world is all about and what the pain of the world is all about. So first you have to explore the pain. If you're afraid of the pain, how will you be able to kind of, portray all these magnificent facets of life? If you're scared of certain fields, of certain elements, then you're not able to plunge into that. So first you need to explore it for yourself, and then you can show it to the audience. Otherwise it doesn't really work, right? And you have to accept if something that you've done was wrong, if it was a mistake, if it was a failure, then you just kind of do this and you start again.
But if you don't see the wrongness, how do you grow from that?
Right.
And how are you able to perceive that on screen? Because nothing you do is wrong.
Probably one of the greatest traits that we can have as performers, as creative people, is not being arrogant.
Yeah.
Not being arrogant, not to preach and not to teach and not to whatever, and not just kind of absorb it, be in the middle of the environment, and just be curious and spontaneous about whatever result, whatever product might come out. Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Thank
Tony.
you for having me
That was
here,
so
brother.
inspiring, man, brother. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
I think we created some great content for the community out there. Thanks so much, guys, for sticking with us till the end. If you stayed so far, then make sure to subscribe to his channel. We make sure to include all the links down below in the comment section. Leave a comment what you thought of this conversation. What is your biggest trait? What is your biggest element, your biggest discipline, and how you want to impact the world of entertainment industry? Also, hit the bell to get notified every time we grind out a new video. If you're new to this channel, and check out our Instagram, it's the Coach MC. I will also include his Instagram. Let's have great adventures all together. Thanks so much, Tony, for joining the show again. This was Talks on Acting from South Beach. See you with the next video. And now you're ready to perform.